week. And I've seen wherever Kitalia, all those places I've gone to, trees to make the green. If you go there, it's a beauty of all. So I am requesting that your resolutions of your meeting or your training here is that we must push NOTU to go and demand, meet the parliament, Speaker of Parliament, to set a day for planting trees, or our minister. Set a day in Uganda for planting trees, that we must turn this country green. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those very passionate remarks. I hope you are taking notes. Yes. Now, before we go to the next question, maybe I would also like to recognize the presence of the National Chairman of ATGU, Mr. Dennis Ororo. You're very welcome. So, do we have any more questions for Better Me? Okay.
Yes. Thank you. I'm Waswa Bashir Sebuguzi, the Deputy Organizing Secretary, Uganda Markets and Allied Employees Union. My first question is, to what extent have you thought about the informal sector workers? Because most of the workers in Uganda, over 20 millions of workers, are in the informal sector. For example, whenever we talk about preserving our environment, the first workers that we point out, they are the charcoal burners, who do not need even any letter, anything like formal to start their businesses. But whatever prepared in your plans and programs, it's as if we are only thinking about workers in the formal sector. For example, you have talked about inclusion in decision making. To what extent do we as unions advocate for these informal workers? Because in the informal sector, most workers are self-employed. And whenever we talk about workers, we talk about those workers who are paid by government. So, what do I urge you? Whoever plans for the transition, we must put most focus at the informal workers. Lastly, this is where my worry is. The options that we are trying to create for these workers in the transition, in preservation of our environment, must be proportionate to those that they are going to live and change to those businesses. For example, if we change these people from charcoal burning, I've seen all the options you have shown us. It is like these people must work, most of them are working from home. The gender issue comes in then. How many men are ready to work from home? How many men are ready to work from home? You'll find a very big challenge. Thank you. I beg to stop there for a moment. Those are some of my concerns.
Thank you very much, team. Better Me, would you like to respond to that?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Promise Twinamche again. I'm going to talk about the first question. The informal sectors, we all know they are on a rise. Normally now termed as gig economies. You have a taxi, you have a car, then you're driving an Uber. You don't know the owner. Sometimes you don't know the owner of the app or something like that. So with one of, because we did a lot of research, although we did not put all of it here, with one of the talks we had with Mr. Bijira, the General Secretary of NOTU, they are putting that into, they are doing research to look at how the informal sector can be catered for, and so that they can easily put a structure for them so that they can look for a way of unionizing them and fighting for their rights. Because we all know that most of these companies, let's say Uber or Taxify or these other companies, they are not going to be here to protect the employees' rights. They are the ones who knows the employees. Okay, the ones who use the apps. They are the ones who cater for themselves. If they get this money, they know they have this money. The other one pays tax. So making a structure will help the employees, as I could call them. It will also help the government so that when they tax these companies, they can also benefit from the whole thing. So the informal sector is being catered for from first by research, and then we see what happens next. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My brother, you have given a very elaborate submission, especially the last one where you really tackled very many layers about it. The first thing, just transition, like we said, it is, the reality is it's not as easy as anything. It has very many layers. That's why in the beginning when I was presenting, I said we have to consider all aspects, the political, the social, all aspects of everything to see how unions can cooperate this. So you mentioned in case charcoal burners, because the time will come when it will really be illegal to do away because it harms the environment. We all know that. So when that time comes, men that were working in a field, there are jobs that have been set up, greener jobs, things like making briquettes. Yes, it's true you can work at home, but it doesn't mean you're not. The point is earning. So that means we'll have union have a role to really educate these people, give them hope, show them the importance. There are very many men who have successful businesses working from home. That cannot really be an issue that can really stop this change. So I think our role there is to really elaborate and explain to people that just transition is here. You can still work from home, work from anywhere. And just to add on what my colleague has said about the informal sector, it is true the informal sector is really at the forefront. It is not ignored at all because they are the most group that is affected by this. Yeah. So there have been there are very many ways of how they have been included in this. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Team Better Me. I think one of the things that makes this topic very, very current and topical is there are actually more questions than answers because we have to be so forward-looking. Tendai, you had a question for the team.
Yes, I do have a question for the team. Thank you. Team Better Me and Sister Barbara started off by saying that it all starts with you. And what I noticed, it was also some of the Better Me team said something like, well, before I didn't know anything about just transition, and now I do, and climate change, and it's also about the environment. I mean, it's a complex topic. My question is, have any of you changed things in your personal life or work? Well, let's say personal life. Things you did before, but now said, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yes. About just transition and climate change in our personal lives. Like I said before, that I didn't know the meaning. But right now, me, I didn't know that charcoal is affecting our environment before. I was not focusing on it. But right now, from the trainings that we've had, at least I've transmitted to gas. And also, about the bottles in my company, when they had begun the glass bottles, I was like, it's like any other thing. They've just begun the glass bottles. But to our clients that we have, sometimes when they come, I can give them an option that, you see, we also have still water, the same water that we have here. We can pack in glass bottles. And so many hotels here in Uganda, we are supplying to the big hotels. They've transitioned to Serena's, big hotels here in Uganda, because they see these glass bottles to be corporate. And so everyone is saying, no, I cannot take a plastic. I opt for the glass bottle. And so of which I've seen that it is leading us to somewhere. Thank you very much.
Yes. And bottles they collect again for reuse, I assume.
About the plastic bottles in our environment, they are always corrected. The glass bottles, they are collected again because they are and reused, because we have crates. They are taken, they are refilled, and then supplied to clients, and then they are brought back. We clean them, refill them. Also the jumbos, the big plastic bottles, they are brought back. They are cleaned, they are refilled. So it's a reusable process, which means that's protecting our environment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, I think we could take a 30 minutes break. It is 11:05. If we can be back here at 11:35, then we can continue either with Q&A or with another presentation. So the tea is at the back of the room. And I think you also have to be mindful that our colleagues in the Netherlands are 2 hours behind us, so they've actually been awake since it was really dark. Okay? So we thank them, a special thank you for their being there. Okay.
Okay, but good that you could join, Emmanuel. I hope, do you want to be introduced?
Oh, it's fine. I think everything is fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, but thank you so much for the opportunity. At least it gives, some kind of, I'm really happy to have joined the meeting.
Okay. And also meet Amy. Amy is my colleague. She's from the communication department.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Yes, Ghana Roots.
Okay. Okay. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. It's nice to be here. It's interesting to hear the conversations. I think it's good. It's a lot better than the last time we were in Uganda, actually, when we had to talk about this transition on the youth camp. So I feel like the actual issues are more addressed in this talk, so that's really good.
Yeah.
Very true. Good reminder of where we came from. So,
I think from the English, you could see that yes, I mean, even if we are tracking it's quite easy for us to know where we're going now. And then it's coming out well. And I like the community. So I think it's quite an extraordinary.
sure. But then there's a lot now on the digital perspective. So I look forward to the assignment of level up and also what I was thinking of in what part just position as an open
So you realize that they are talking about job processes. If you don't trust these and all that. These are really tools for organizers. And you see this video on how we dovetail some of these concepts into their strategies and how they organize. And then have to use some of these things to organize at the enterprise level. Because if you are not part of the union, it means that the conversation around that strategy, you're also a student. And if you are a student, when we are doing operational restructuring, the first people to be taken out, especially are people who are not union. So the issue of transition, therefore, is linked to organizing and all that. Yeah. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah. I thought the question about informal workers, I think is really interesting in this case as well. That's a really large group. The group is probably not organized at all or not well. And how
knows who has the biggest group.
Well, that should make it easier to implement the just transition ideas, because at the end of the day, I think climate change and the whole just transition concept is it's a numbers thing, right? At the end of the day, if there's only a select few people that are actually implementing it and actually, seeing it as an issue, I think a big group of people is really important to actually make progress.
And I think brings the question I asked, them that what are the specific goals also of the media, in covering their input in sectorial transition plans or national transition plans by government. That the conversation of just transition must be elevated from a collective bargaining perspective alone, and that there is a need for a broader conversation, at a sectorial and national level. And hence, the union's appreciation of the transition and demands at the union level is quite important. And all these things inform their strategies at the national level. So if we have the informal sector and then we are looking at transition, how does it affect the informal sector? What should be strategy? What should we do? And all these things. And I don't know, Petra, what's your view? I think just as they said that they were a bit behind on the issue of just transition, I think it's the same with trade. And when you look at an asset agency, that's not sure with them 2 years back. And it seemed like it was something very new, and they really didn't know where to even start from. So I don't know, yeah.
Otherwise, people will acknowledge this first thing to start with being aware to really make a change. Very nice that you actually do that. Yeah. Maybe you can make it progress, but you have to if I look at where they are now, we still have to keep funding the agenda or climate change it's over.
Really said, I think that financial problem is really important to address it. And that's the way for money that's never going to come. It is, I'll get some coffee.
Namuya Ruth. And I think what is very important is she sent us a participant who we're very happy to have. Okay, so at this point, I would like to invite the next team that is going to make a presentation. And that team is going to be introduced by their mentor, Mr. David Musoke. Mr. David Musoke is also a graduate of the ELSA program, and he's mentoring a team called the Sparrows. So the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, MC. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Protocol observed. The sparrows. That small, beautiful bird. Available in every compound, yet doesn't do any distraction. My name is David Musoke, the mentor for sparrows. The beautiful ones, the lovely, the fortunate one. I wish, let me take this opportunity, it has to do anti-clockwise. We have been doing clockwise, but let me do anti-clockwise. Allow me to invite the team leader, Ignatius Mkanji. Please come forward with your team so that you can introduce it. Members, we have been introducing within the presentation, but we are making a change. So my role is one to introduce the team leader, Mr. Ignatius Mkanji, and because it's mentoring, he will introduce the group. Thank you.
Thank you, our mentor. Good morning, everyone. Good, the protocol observed. My name is Nkanji Ignatius, and I'm from the Uganda Hotels, Food Supermarket, Tourism and Allied Workers Union. It is commonly known as HTS Union. I'm the team lead of the Sparrows. So we have decided to introduce ourselves so that we don't interrupt the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning. Protocol observed. I'm Navada Deborah from Uganda Medical Workers Union. You are most welcome.
Good morning, everyone. By the name, I'm Biamong Ronald from Uganda Horticultural Industrial Service Providers and Allied Workers Union, known as WISPAL. You are welcome.
A very good morning to everyone. Praise God. I'm called Dogas Akulichel from Uganda Media Union, OMO. Thank you.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. By name, I'm called Musoba Paulo Timothy from Uganda Textiles, Garments, Leather, and Allied Workers Union. You're welcome all.
Thank you. So allow us begin our presentation, please. Thank you.
Good morning once again. As I mentioned before, I'm called Dogas from Uganda Media Union, and we are the sparrows, the beautiful ones, the beautiful birds, and the nice. They're so patient and they're wise. Concerning what has brought us today, it's something that needs us so much. I want to first go to the question that Petra asked, that what was it that made us to get up, to get up from where we are when it's not yet late. When you come here, we are looking at the disastrous landslides, flooding. For example, we looked at the one at Bulambuli. And not only that, the flooding that took place at Pakwach, that lead to a loss of life of one of the great workers of UNRWA. So this is climate change. It is climate change, and we need to do something. The disastrous landslides in Bulambuli, flooding, they are the dire consequences of climate change, highlighting to the complication between the environmental degradation, social inequality, and land degradation. All of them that we are saying it is they're brought by storms, putting entire communities at risk. So to break this integrating climate thing, we need to do some action. We need to do something. We need to get up. For example, if we do something, we must adopt a holistic approach to sustainability, integrating climate actions, social justice, and eco-friendly economic development to build resilient ecosystem and thriving communities. So I would love to explain more about climate change. We have talked about it. They have been explaining, saying climate change is a long-term warming of the planet due to increase in average global temperatures, primarily caused by human activities that release to greenhouse gas emission, such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxides into the atmosphere, where these gases traps heat and contribute to global warming. Climate change has brought so much problems to our community. You see, mostly they were talking about charcoal burning. When you go to northern part of Uganda, we are suffering a lot. There's too much droughts. We are so much into cutting down of trees. We are still burning charcoals, by the way. So when you try to tell them, someone will tell you, will ask you, because we are talking about agency, just transition, but someone will ask you. I would like to thank Taka. She told, is it Taka? Someone told us that if we are fighting for just transition, what are we doing? What are we doing? Because now these people are cutting down trees. In the villages, they're cutting down trees. But we are stopping them that we should not cut down trees. What else should be done to replace cutting down of trees, the burning charcoal? Some of them are surviving through all this. So we are trying to encourage them, stop burning charcoal. So we need to introduce something new to them to fight against climate change, in a way that if we introduce to them the use of gases for the places where there's electricity, people can use those electricity for cooking. So it's us, the young people, to do this, because as our Petra said, she said that in Uganda it is youth. 78%, 70 something, or 70% of the Uganda population are the youth. So it is us. So I would like to thank also Lisa for that, because it's they're helping us to understand how we can fight climate change, how we can come in, do the agency, the transition. First, move on a bit. So we are saying that the world today is struggling with the effects of climate change. And there are so many dangers that climate change is bringing. Before we go into transition, there are so many things that climate change has brought. For example, we are looking at extreme weather events. This has increased frequency and intensity of hurricanes, flood, droughts, and can lead to proper damage of displacement of communities. It's happening now. We have talked of Bulambuli. There are so many people who have been displaced. So it is us to do the action. Then we're looking at a rising of sea levels. When you go to where there are rivers, where there are lakes, there are so many people who are being displaced. So if we understand the reason why all these are happening, we're going to do something. Not only the young people, the leaders, the union leaders. What are we doing? Are we trying to look at these things? Are they like the important thing? First roll a bit. Move. So also other dangers we are seeing. There's also food insecurity, Because where there's no rain, where there's too much droughts, we're looking at the changes in temperatures. There are places, if you go to northern part of Uganda, not northeast, like those areas of Karamoja, there are people who are dying because of hunger. They try to plant things, but the sun will come and destroy it. But if there was trees, something that would bring in rain, they would be surviving without calling in the government to supply for them food. So many things are happening. So there's also water scarcity in other areas. I don't know about this side, but when you go to northern part of Uganda, you'll find that they're trying to dig well so that they get water, and it's a process that some other people who are there. You find dirty people, those ones who cannot even manage to get water to wash their clothes because of this issue of droughts, no rain, climate change. We're looking at biodiversity loss, climate change that can disrupt ecosystem, leading to habitat loss. There's so many, when you go to those side of Kamdini, the areas which are next to a park, there are people who are being killed by animals because they are also looking for grasses outside where they stay. Why? Because of the same reason. If we look into these with critical eye and we do something, all these will not happen. We're looking at the health risk. So many industries in our places. We'll go to that side of Namave. Very many. You will not see a tree. Because if trees are there, things that can help to, you know, how should I say, the trees helps to trap, exactly, thank you so much, to trap the things that will be moving. But now, if the area is bare, nowadays we have mpox, we don't know the reason why all these diseases are coming. We are dying of so many things because we have failed to understand our environment. The economic impact, damage to infrastructure, increase disaster recovery cost, and disruptions to industry such as agriculture, fishing, and tourism. There's so many things that we can do to help us fight against climate change. First, roll a bit, down. All these, when you see them, ocean acidification, impact on indigenous communities, these are the reasons we need to look into. Stop. So therefore, addressing these dangers requires a global cooperation. Sustainable practices and significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions to mitigate the impact. What do we do for the world to be safe and healthy place for human and animals, life to survive? What should we do? Ignatius.
Thank you. There we come in with the what do we do next? After seeing all these effects of climate change and its impacts, what do we do? That's where we come with an answer. We come out with an answer of just transition. So I will try to define it a little bit more than our colleagues had defined it first. It refers to a fair and equitable process of moving towards a low carbon economy. This ensures that no worker is left behind. It's about making sure that as we shift towards sustainable practices, the rights and the needs of all individuals, especially those in vulnerable positions, are considered and addressed. Someone had already asked, as we are talking about just transition, are we considering the minority group, those ones in the informal sector? Thank you. So here we are saying it has to be, the transition has to be fair and equitable, not only for the trade unionists because they are organized or because they are in a formal sector. No, we need to also look at the vulnerable communities where we come from. The market vendors who are not organized, how do we cater for them? How do we cater for the minority groups, those who are vulnerable mostly? So the process, as we are shifting to sustainable economies, it has to be fair. Everyone has to be inclusive. Yeah, we move on. Scroll, please. Yep. So here we are seeing that the world is off track for preventing climate change. It is statistically, it is showing the percentages and who is responsible for the most pollution. According, the world is off track for preventing climate change. The world pumped out around 50 billion metric tons of planet heating gases. You can imagine this was done in 2022, and it is a global calculation by the agencies and the non-government organizations that were responsible to carry out this study. And they found out that the world entirely had pumped out 50 billion metric tons of planet heating gases. And it's, according to this data, China was the largest polluter. Here I'm trying to show all of us that who is responsible for what is happening now. So China was the largest polluter, and it was making up to 30% of the total global emissions. For now, it is the leading. And it also had an argument of it saying, we had the countries that had been industrialized since the Industrial Revolution. That is the US and the United Kingdom. And it was saying, you're blaming me now. But then there is the other one who had polluted since the Industrial Revolution. They are trying to play now. Africans, or an African continent is saying, we are the least polluters. It is asking for fairness. Someone whom they are accusing of being the largest polluter is saying, no, someone has been over-polluting since then. So now it is leaving the vulnerable ones now, Africa especially, because we are the least developed. Our economies are a bit low. It is leaving us with a gap. So now here is the question now. What do we need to do for us to be fair? Because when a climate crisis comes, like let's say it's a landslides, the recent one in Lamboli, we had the Spain incidents recently. So who is vulnerable? It is we and the least earners, the least income earners. So the question is still on us. What do we need to do? Meanwhile, as we are talking of transitioning, we are going into a green energy. Then how about Africa now? Because the other ones are playing. It is who is responsible. US is saying China, China is saying US. So back to our statistics. We are seeing China, India, United States, and the European Union. We are responsible for the 83%. And where is Africa? Nowhere. It is now up to us. It is showing still the gases emitted in the air being methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide. And now, under the Paris Agreement, countries pledged to keep global warming below 2 degrees Celsius. All countries that had gone to the Paris Agreement in 2015 said, let's try to keep it below 2%. We continue, please. Okay. There. And with an ambition of limiting it to 1.5 Celsius, but the process is still too slow. It's not a little bit off, it's really totally off. They just come and commit and then it stops there. The pollution continues. It is a continuous process. Recently, I was watching BBC and there was a broadcast on India. Imagine if every country, Uganda, the whole world, we have reached an extent of India banning vehicles from entering the city, and then you have to reach an extent of telling the vulnerable populations, the elderly and the young ones, please stay behind the doors. The city is overpolluted. You can't survive in it. How long do we need to wait? Still, that's another question. We need to act before we reach the extent of India. So, the concept of fairness when it comes to climate actions has long been a topic. At the COP28 Climate Summit in Dubai in December, countries formally adopted a fund to help nations hit hard by the crisis. Still, someone had posed the question that where are we getting the funding? What do we do as the trade unions? Our role as the trade unions, for us, we demand for fairness and the funding to help the vulnerable groups of people. So at the COP28, the Conference of Parties reached an agreement of adopting a fund, and that was US $700 million. Yet many climate vulnerable nations like Uganda were left bitterly disappointed. Despite the summit's final agreement, noting trillions of dollars are needed every year to help them cope with climate change, you can imagine what has just happened in Bulambuli. Almost 500 homesteads, they are all displaced. And then those people need money to again restart up. You've lost lives. It is not we who are causing the pollution so that the flooding happens and the landsliding. It is them. But then they are showing you they are not giving Uganda any single coin for it to cope up. At the recent COP29 in Azerbaijan, delegates finally reached a crunch issue dealing with climate finance now still. Previous efforts to deliver funding of US $100 billion to developing countries ran late. Still they were diverting themselves. They don't want to talk about the funding. They have overpolluted, they have exploited, and now they do not want to. So here is the say of African countries, mostly what they were saying. They said they needed shillings 1.3 trillion by 2035 to cope with the growing impacts of the climate change. Continue, please. Still, richer nations refused to put a figure on how much they would give. You can see China, US, India, and the United Kingdom couldn't reach an agreement of saying we are putting this figure. Remember, they have polluted now. They are not putting any amount for us who are vulnerable to cope up with the situation. And they had to say that they would contribute shillings, US $250 from the richer nations, and the 250 would come from the public and the private sector. So it is our responsibility now to the trade unionists. You as an individual must also contribute some amount to the cause of the change. Scroll, please. It was so annoying to an extent that one envoy from Marshall Islands, she was called Tina, she had to assert that it's comprehensible that year after year we bring our stories to climate change, to climate impacts, to these meetings and receive only empathy. So every year they go for a summit, let's discuss like we are here. We come every year, discuss what do we do. And we only say, God will be on us, God will be on our side. That's what they receive. She said in a statement, we are not here to tell stories, we are here to save our communities. So it is everyone's responsibility, the trade union's role, to demand and to contribute to this. You too also have an obligation of going outside and tell people who are not aware of what is going to happen in the future. People see landslides happening, people see electric vehicles and the bikes coming in, but they don't know what is happening in the future. It is a process. As we are transitioning, it is year after year. Maybe let's give it 10 years or 15. Before we get there, everyone must be aware. That's our role now, to preach the need of a shift to a green economy. What do we do, guys, for us to
we have an action. An action we are looking at is one. Most especially we are pointing at Bulambuli. We know what happened there, the flooding in Mbale City. You know, it serves as a stark reminder for escalating climate crisis. It is like when you have a home, the following day it's destroyed. How do you feel? Sometimes even you can run mad. You look where to hide, but nowhere. So everything it is upon us. Please scroll up. We are the young leaders or the trade unions whom we have a task to make sure that the climate change and just transition starts with us now. Let it not be waited tomorrow, but now, because we are seeing that the rising temperatures, it has and altered rainfall. It has worsened the natural disaster, threatening lives. I know I come from the same, the Elgon side, whereby I'm talking this with a feeling where our brothers we have lost in the landslide. So it is important we transition or we transit shiftly to sustainable land use to protect vulnerable communities. And this incident has caused a lot of physical harm to our workers and communities at large. Remember, it might be a school in that place. How many teachers are going there to teach, to survive? And also the children whom we are sending there, parents had already maybe paid their school fees. All that is a loss. So we have also health workers struggling now with dysentery as a disease, typhoid, etc., due to the water pollution caused by the flooding. Once the flood occurred in Bulambuli, don't think it has remained the same as it had not occurred. The water people are taking now is not a clean water. You see, they're in the camps. What are they eating in the camps? You can't tell, because they are looking for survival. Whatever they had been washed away. So with this, we need to adjust to climate change. It is crucial to us all who are here, because it is going to help us to protect workers' rights and livelihood in transitioning industries through social dialogue. When we look at the social dialogue, we need to look at the tripartite. That's the government. We need to look for the employers. We need to look for the workers themselves who are working in that industries, so that we can sit and then we harmonize. This person who had been working for you, if you have changed the method of work, this person, when you give him time for reskilling and upskilling, can do the same job as he has been doing. Again, we are looking at promoting social justice and equity for marginalized communities, because once we shift to just transition, please, we need justice, because the majority are vulnerable. They know nothing, but we don't want to leave them behind. We need to capture them. We don't want to leave anyone behind. We want everyone to survive. Scroll a bit. We are looking at to conserve natural resources. Is it the same? Let me go to the point of reduce greenhouse gas emissions and climate change mitigations. We have seen the first presentation. If there is, say that, reduce on gas emission, money or the finance is not enough. No. Maybe they need to come up with the taxes. You fail to comply, you pay some tax so that you can feel it. Maybe you can reduce Because if you say that we are complaining of you, say, but there is also another one who had been doing the same, but you're not talking to him or her, which means we are just, as in we are playing in the game. So we need also to enhance national and international cooperation. Because once we are looking here, we need also to cooperate with other national levels, whereby we share ideas. What have you been doing the other side? So that we can do this side. So the scientific consensus is clear. We know that human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels and the deforestation, are the primary climate drivers of climate change. So what do we do? Because it is clear that human activities, the factory cannot come alone without the effort of the human. It is the human who comes, you drain up our wetland, you pour soil, you put a grain, everything, stones, and then you put up the factory. Now the vulnerable person who is the other side with a small house, because the water will not penetrate on your heavy duty wall, but it will just pass through, and then the other person vulnerable is going to be affected. Scroll a bit. We are looking at that, we are seeing that the vulnerable population and developing nations are often the most affected, worsening existing inequalities and creating new challenges for community worldwide. You see, like what happened in Bulamboli, what happened in Pakwach, the flooding, it came. We lost our engineer, a very good engineer. But because of this, it is climate change. Therefore, addressing this climate change requires immediate action. What do we do? We are seeing that international cooperation as this thing has jumped. We need to go to the challenges. Scroll a bit up. A bit down. A bit down. So we are seeing that the challenges posed by climate change are discouraging and are clear to all nations. And to all nations, and all nations should, scroll a bit up, should be innovative, collaborative, coordinative, and decisive in order to mitigate effects and work toward to sustainable and resilient future for all. The urgency of this matter calls for an immediate and sustainable commitment from government, businessmen, communities, and individuals worldwide. The policies on the climate change in Uganda should be implemented. That's why
the landslides in Bulambuli and flooding of the Nile in Pakwach demonstrate the critical need to community-centered solutions to address climate change. For example, we have seen the case of the loss of our engineer who died from there. As we respond to this calamity, we must prioritize the needs of the local communities, support their efforts to build resilience. Resilience, this is a process and outcome of adopting to difficult life. Go up. Therefore, here are recommendations to climate change and just transition. They are both short-term mid-term, and long-term. We need to, as we are transiting to low carbon, we should involve all the affected workers and communities, that is by advocating, reskilling, and upskilling programs to help them transit to green jobs, and we should ensure that they are all involved in sustainable economy. In upskilling, that is, we need to train these workers how to maybe manage these new machines. For example, they have been using these vehicles which are producing smoke. We need to first train them how to adopt it to the new jobs. The Uganda Renewable Energy Policy, these are policies which have been put on paper for quite a long time, and it has been a song. Whenever people see it, they talk about it and leave it hanging. But we need to implement these things because it pledged to increase renewable energy development like solar and hydro, which has not yet been implemented the way it pledged. Then we have to implement sustainable transportation initiatives, that is by starting electric vehicles for public transport to minimize on these fossil fuel gases emitted. Scroll up. We need to develop and deploy clean cooking technologies, that is biogas, to reduce on tree cutting for charcoal, and the cost for this gas should be affordable by every Ugandan. Because where I come from, their main job is charcoal burning and others are practicing cattle keeping. But one time, the government came up and said no more charcoal burning. And these people didn't know what they were going to do. And actually some wanted to demonstrate. And if we had like trained them, or if we had made gas cheaper for them, maybe that thing wouldn't have happened. Then we need to implement sustainable land use practices like agroforestry, Iggy, like we can plant banana together mixed with the trees. You can take an example, you can move along that road, that Guru Highway, you can look through people's plantations minus trees. And if at all it is made as a policy in Uganda as we celebrate these other days like independence, we get a day such that we can all plant trees, we can become green. Then implement waste management and recycling programs to reduce on incidences like what happened in Chitezi. And these things normally we look at them and we take them to be like simple things, because you can go to, it is one time I toured Owino. That rubbish was pushed everywhere and people were just looking. Yet we have our leaders who can like think about what to do. Enhancing climate information and early warning, and once such information has been given, we should normally take it as serious. Because I remember when COVID-19 came, we had the message, but some people took it as for granted. Not until it came to Uganda, that's when most of the people came up and said, it is serious. Actually, we should wake up and do what we are supposed to do before things get worse. Then implement carbon pricing mechanisms like taxes to those countries not complying to policies dealing with the greenhouse emission. If taxes have been put on those countries which are highly producing those gas emissions, maybe it can help us. Scroll up. Down a bit. Protect and restore carbon sinks like wetlands and forests. Actually, it is really absurd. Because if it rains in Kampala and you try to take that route of Gulu Highway, you find water being filled in the way and you ask, where are we? People have built in the wetlands and nothing has been done on those people. And actually, these vulnerable people, they are being affected because it was one time the government police came and chased people where I'm staying without explaining why are they being chased, and they didn't know that it is not good to stay there.
Finally, we are coming to the final recommendation. We are seeing that all the recommendations mentioned above, it offers a comprehensive framework for reducing emissions through collective responsibilities, whereby we must act together to mitigate climate change. It is collective. Me and you, we need to come up so that we can mitigate the climate change, which is a disease today. But we are seeing that the window of action is rapidly closing. Let us prioritize the health of our planet, the future generations. Scroll a bit up. When you look at the COP29, there is a statement where it says that to protect all individuals from this impact, it is crucial to implement urgent just transition framework that adheres to principle of fairness through adequate social protection and capacity building programs to help all individuals to adapt and build resilience and effective social dialogue. For communities on the front line of paying as a just transition, with just to obtain clean air and water, a healthy place to live, a just transition with no one left to give, the time for change is now upon us. You see, it's now upon us. All a just transition. Before we take the final fall, raise up, and we demand for a better future, to see a just transition for you and me. Scroll a bit up. Finally, I'm concluding possible explanation for just transition using a tree root, stem, and branch. When we check on a tree, a root, that's branches. You put it at your knee. When you look at the tree root, a true root dig deep into the earth. It is just like a just transition must be rooted in justice and equity. And this means to acknowledge the historical justice and the disproportionate impacts of climate change on the vulnerable communities. As the roots dig down or deep into the earth, it is also like just transition. We need to treat with justice and equity. Then, when you look at the stem, it represents transition and transformation, which means transformation, we are looking at the change now from the climate change, whereby we are going to transition. So here the stem, it represents transition itself. Just as a stem connects the roots to the branches, which is up, just transition connects the past to the future. The past is the climate change. We are using the just transition to come to our future, how it has been before. Then, when you look at the branches, scroll up. The branches represents opportunities and the benefits. If we comply with the just transition, we are going to enjoy in the future. The branches represents the opportunities and the benefits of just transition, just as branches stretch towards the sky, and the just transition can lead a brighter future for all. And this includes creating new jobs and industries in renewable energy, improves public health and well-being, enhancing energy security, supporting sustainable agriculture and reducing food insecurity. The salaries and wages of workers across all the global will be increased if we comply with just transition. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sparrows. Thank you. Don't they have lovely T-shirts? Okay. Thank you very much. And of course, we want to thank the mentor as well for having prepared them. So Q&A or comments, suggestions? Anybody? Online. Go ahead, Tendai. Yes, please. You're clear now.
I thought I believe that it was mentioned that trade unions should also contribute in money for climate change and just transition. Is that true? Or did I misunderstand?
Have you got the question?
The question is, I thought that I heard them say somewhere in the middle. And by the way, it was a very good overview also of the global data, much appreciated, because the others haven't done that, but you gave a very good overview, and it was more focused on climate change. But I thought that somewhere you also mentioned that trade unions must also contribute in money for climate change and just transition. Or did I misunderstand?
Yeah, it was mentioned true. It's true. I mentioned it, yeah. Yeah.
But who should be the biggest, yeah, okay. Yeah.
So to elaborate it more, I mentioned that the trade unionists must also contribute, like Nkanji Ignatius, also to contribute towards the cause to the transition. And I also mentioned that, sorry, if you ask me who should be the largest contributor, it is the polluters now. The US, the dominant polluters, US, India, China, yeah, and Japan, that should be contributing the highest percentage. But we should also, meanwhile, for us who are in the formal sector, should also contribute to the transition. Thank you.
And also to add on, the contribution of the trade unions we are looking at is one, it is not only finance. Like, for example, what we are doing here is raising awareness. If you are having a workplace where you are working in industry, you know the effects of the chemicals you are using to the environment or to the vulnerable group. So raising awareness on that concern, it is also a role of the trade unions. You are also contributing, not financially, but you are training other people on, because when you look at the trade union as an organization, sometimes what I can say is that we sacrifice, you know, we sacrifice in other areas without looking finance. If you look for only finance, other things will not be done. Because you want to go somewhere, you say, let them first give me money, which means our mission will not be fulfilled.
Okay, thank you very much, Tendai. Any other Q&A? If there isn't any, then I have the pleasure of introducing the final presentation for this afternoon. And they also have a very fancy name. They're the Genius Catalysts. And their mentor is Dr. Geoffrey Musanja, who's very special to us as well because he is a graduate of the ELSA program. Please, Doctor, invite your group.
Thank you so much, my dear senior mentor, A very good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. Geoffrey Msanje is my name. I am so humbled to stand before you on this wonderful day when we are having a good discussion on climate change and just transition. I was so humbled with the presentations, especially from the first and second group. They talked about us. When I say us, do you understand what I mean by us? Who can respond to that? Yes, please. Exactly. On 3rd of December, we actually commemorated the World Disability Day for persons who have disabilities like us, and they're all forms of disabilities. I'm sure if you know that you're not disabled, you're sure that you're attached to someone who has a disability. Okay? So that is very important for me to chip in. At this juncture, please allow me introduce to you the team called the Genius Catalysts. The Genius Catalysts, there are two names combined. The genius belongs to the mentees, and I am the catalyst. So simply what it means is that all we looked at is that in leadership, we are developing leaders, and these are the leaders we want to develop. So all the answers are within them. My role as a mentor was to stimulate them, was to entice them to bring out that in them that can be of great impact in their various unions. I was given this team. It should be bigger than this. But two of our colleagues are not with us, unfortunately. There are people that started when they're a little bit skeptical about each other. In fact, one of them reached an extent of declaring and saying, you know what, for me, I'm comfortable working alone. But as I'm speaking right now, she's the very one who always keeps on saying, when are we meeting again? So that is one of the wonderful testimonies that we have out of the LISA program. Okay? So at this juncture, I'll request that I hand over the microphone to the first presenter to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. And my name is Viteme Mariam, and I work with the Plantations Union as a Central Women's Coordinator. I'm a mother of one beautiful daughter, and I'm proud of it. I'm also an Arsenal fan, by the way. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. My name is Nafka Juliet. I'm the National Treasurer, Uganda Private. Of our numbers, we are the best example of climate change. Actually, we have been affected by climate change. That's why we are few, and we are just transiting. So thank you so much, and wait to listen to our beautiful next episode. Thank you so much.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. By the names of Nankumba Joan, I work with the Plantation Union as an assistant data entry. And first of all, I love God and I love people. I love helping people. And I like eating also. Yes. And the most important thing, I'm single. And that one, yes. We are going to present to you a dialogue. We are going to present to you a dialogue with the title, A Just Transition, balancing climate action with social justice. With these different experts, they are going to introduce themselves of how they are going to pray in the dialogues.
Thank you so much. I'm here standing in for one of our colleagues who was meant to be part of this dialogue, and that's why I'm again a very good example of what we call just transition. I had to reskill from a mentor to a mentee. Okay, so I'll be acting in this dialogue as the climate activist.
And I'll be the labor union representative.
Dr. Julie will act as the environmental economist.
And I'm going to act as a community organizer. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So our dear audience and our dear panelists in this dialogue, one thing we need to appreciate is that climate change is one of the pressing issues of our time. And I therefore pose it to us that as we transit through the low carbon economy, we need to ensure that no one is left behind.
As a labor union representative, I've seen firsthand how fossil fuel workers are already being impacted by the transition. We need to make sure that these workers have access to trainings and new job opportunities.
Thank you so much, the trade unionist. Yes, that's right. As I was reading the new vision of last Wednesday, I thought it right as an environmental economist that just transition is not just about reducing carbon emissions, but it is also about ensuring that the benefits and costs of transition are shared fairly. So that means we should invest so much in education and training programs so that we can also support our communities that have been disproportionately affected by climate change. Yeah.
Oh yes, I agree with you. As a community organizer, I have already seen how the climate change is affecting the low income and the marginalized communities. We have to make sure that these communities are involved in the decision-making process. We have to prioritize their needs and concerns.
I agree with you. I really want to know what are some of the more concrete steps that we need to take as we transit.
Well, one thing we can do is invest in programs that support workers into transitioning to new industries. And we can also provide financial support to the communities that are already being impacted by the transition.
Yes, we can also implement policies like carbon pricing, which can help raise revenue to support the just transition.
We need to make these communities to come on the table, to be involved on the decision making. And we need to prioritize what they say so that we hear every voice that they tell us and every word that they say, because they are the people that are in this thing, the communities and the workers and the families.
Thank you so much for your wonderful insights. I now see it that we need a jointed effort as we go through this transition.
Yes, we agree. Agents of change. Agents of change. Yeah, in the fields where farmers once thrived and danced, now there is a lot of drought and despair that leave little to chance. With shifting seasons and storms that thrive, we now have little left for us.
Trade unions, gather. Voices raised in might, advocating for change in a future that is bright, transition into green is the path that we should all move in these stormy days.
Together we stand, united and strong. For workers and communities, we will right the wrong. For in the fight against climate change, a transition is needed for us of our space.
The better the world. Thank you so much for listening to us. And thank you so much for paying attention to us. I hope it has been a simple one. And I hope that everyone has taken a point from whatever we've presented. As all the groups that have been presenting, we've all been presented about the climate change and just transition. And like we said, it is a big deal right now that we need to look at it and do something about it before things get worse. So at the moment, at this juncture, we welcome any compliments, any questions, and anything that anyone wants to add on to whatever we've done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Genius Catalysts. I think they deserve another round of applause. Okay, so do we have any comments, questions, suggestions? Online, Tendai?
I have a question.
Yes, Petra.
Yeah, so thank you, Genius Catalysts, for this very creative way of bringing your message across. And I just want to emphasize this before I have my question, because I think it's the need to do it differently which awakes people to start really taking action. So thank you for showing it here. My question is, what would be your main takeaway? And I know two of your people are not, two of your members are not in the team. So extra appreciation for all the work you did. But what would be your main takeaway from this project, from all the stuff you learned, which you were became more aware of? What's your main takeaway? You could answer all three, or one of you, whatever.
Well, one of it is working as a team together, because it has not been an easy one for us. But we managed to work it out because we agreed as a team.
So that is more on the process, so how you really need to collaborate to get things working if you're stuck or if you don't know. Anything on the content maybe? Anything on the topic itself, just transition? Anything you learned there, which is really nice to share with us?
What I can say about that is that if we don't stand and work upon it, it is going to take us away and it is going to ruin lives of many people. So we need to stand, we need to raise our hands, we need to be together, we need to talk about it, we need to know the challenges, we need to get the projects that can help us to develop up to go to have the transition. Yes, it is what I learned.
Yeah, good one. Any first step? Now everybody's almost talking. So Julie, maybe over to you if you want to, Juliet. What would be your first step in this process of stepping up, activating? What would be your first step?
Thank you so much.
I'm pinning you down, so apologize for being so bluntly Dutch, but I think you can do it.
Thank you so much, Petra, and thank you to all our viewers. Our first step, I think we should all know that we must climate change and just transition adjust with us. So we first of all need to do something as individuals, and we should involve each and everybody. It should not be a role of just one person, but all parties must be involved in this change so as to see a better country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Petra. Any other remarks? Yes, sir.
Thank you. It is just an addition. Just to reduce on the risk of environmental degradation. The government, especially local governments, should stop licensing workers who work from areas like wetlands. For example, during my time when I was a representative at a municipal council, business licenses had nothing to do with people who work from wetlands and such places. But they only looked at the nature of business you are working or you are running from such places. So we urge the government, we should increase our advocacy to the government, especially local governments, to reduce or to stop licensing people who work from such places. And lastly, as Uganda Markets and Allied Employees Union, we also believe that people fear to change from their businesses to other businesses just because they have not saved enough for their future. So we decided to come out with the scheme. I remember like one of the presenters talked about insurance. We have come out with a national informal worker social protection scheme, just in its final stages of registration with UBRA, to help our informal workers and rated workers to join that scheme such that they are able at least to save for their old age. You imagine a person who was in Chakobani and had enough savings. It couldn't be hard for us as unions to mobilize and sensitize those people to leave such jobs to other jobs because they already have their savings. So I would like to call upon all of you, ladies and gentlemen, and a representative from NOTU to join us as Uganda Markets and to support us in a bid to start this scheme anytime from now, to help our people, especially in the informal sector, to start up their savings in order to help them prepare for their old age, in order to have savings that is going to help them on their health and other related challenges in their spheres of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think the message now is becoming very clear. There is a sense of urgency. So we're coming to the close of the program, but before we do, of course, I would like to extend some very special thanks. First to Tendai Matimba and the whole team at Mondial FNV. Without them, none of this could have been possible. The LISA program is more or less, it's almost a 2-year program. And we are still moving on the journey with the LISA participants. Then, of course, I cannot forget Petra Bosse. Petra has been a very, very, very vital resource for the program. Yes. And we have our logistics coordinator, Desire. Desire, you want to say hello? Yes. Yes. So that is Desire Basemera, our logistics coordinator. And then, of course, the mentors, we are very, very grateful. We don't take you for granted. And I think you'll all agree that they've done a fantastic job with their teams. And then last but not least, the team members, the LISA participants. We thank you so much. And then all of our invited guests, we also thank you so much for sparing the time to come and spend it with us this morning. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to invite the chairperson of the youth committee, Brother Gideon Olwo to give us some remarks.
Solidarity. Amanda. Viva viva no to viva. Viva viva Lisa viva. Viva viva FNV viva. Viva viva Mentors viva. Viva viva Petra viva. Viva viva Tendai viva. Viva viva Mr. Augustine viva. Viva viva Secretary General viva. Viva viva Youth Committee viva. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, good afternoon. It's a honor to be here this afternoon. I will first start with apologizing for coming late, but I got the program very late, and I work with Shambogo University, and you're also aware that we are in our graduation, and I'm among the ICT people there, so I just had to excuse myself to come because I value this program dearly. But I was to extend my appreciation and my protocol to my Secretary General, Mr. Abima. You are most welcome. I think you are designed to be here in such a program. We have over 50 general secretaries, but I think Abima takes the platinum prize for loving youth and implementing youth programs. And with you, Notu is bright. With you, that's why we are here. Thank you very much. And I also want to recognize the former youth members, emeritus. If you are here, please stand up for recognition. Those on whom I've worked with formerly. Those are the members I worked with, but it was amazing that even some of them, we are now also currently. I also want to call upon them to also stand for recognition. The youth members, I'm serving with them. Amazing, we are 9, but amazingly we are already 5 here. And the 2 members who are supposed also to be here, they're just not here because they are in also an official duty in Fonoto. Thank you very much, my members. While I was seated there, I was so much worried that if by chance the by-election comes and we come back to Africana, I may not take the seat because Lisa has shaped the youth and the energy and the confidence they are showing. I was trembling, but at the same time, I'm also happy to see, because some few years back, these members were actuating issues here. They couldn't stand here and talk for 1 minute. When I was serving in the previous youth committee, I didn't get a chance because I was too much into academic in the university. I was doing my master's. So the friends, the Jane, Shanita, and Barbara took up and Musanje took up the course of Lisa. But I want to tell you that the years we finished, those 4 guys, where you can see that there were some difference on us, how they understand issues. And I still call them the Super 3. Those 3 girls, they are inseparable because of Lisa. But I'm seeing the same seed in this new team. That means Lisa is a good program for us youth. And I want to thank our mentors, the Tendai and Petra. You know, the way these guys talked about them in their absentia, you can just feel like it is a bad people. You must work with them. And I think the next program, come rain, come sunshine. Even if I'm doing my PhD, I will pass pause for the 2 years so that I can also attend. Because it seems there's something I'm missing. You can see the love. When I was in Fort Portal, I could see my vice. Because she wasn't in this politics. Actually, she was picked to just be mentored. But in just 1 year, you could see the way she was doing the leadership, and you could see the way they were coordinating their fellow LISA members, and I was like, wow. Thank you very much, FNV, for giving us the information. The person talking to you, I'm called by names, Olo Gideon Ashayo. I work with Shambogo University. I'm also a trade unionist, and I'm the Deputy General Secretary for National Education Institution, that is Norway. But in Otu, I'm also blessed to be the chairman for the Youth Committee. And recently, I can say I'm a Mugole, not because I've got a rib, but because I've also added in another title, and I was elected to be the Secretary for East Africa Youth. I'm a father of a daughter and a boy who will be my heir if things go as it is. But above all, I accepted Jesus as the Savior. And the Bible tells us that you seek, you will find. And you knock, the door will be open. And if you ask, you will be given. I want to tell you, and I want to ask you, my fellow youth, today, that by the time you can even do an act on something, that means you have understood that thing. But members, let us not only memorize and be accurate on these issues, but let us walk the talk. Let us not only talk about it. I was somehow disappointed in Fort Portal in the recent youth camp. In the first day, there is a MP who came. He came for us with a tree. And we are putting on a t-shirt called The Pioneers of the Green House and Just Transition. This guy came and gave us a seedlings. But for the 5 years, for the 5 days we are in Fort Portal, we left those seedlings where he gave us from. But he gave us the seedlings and he promised the money. But every day they are asking, Yatu what they sent. So it shows that we are putting on a pioneers of the greenhouse, but we are not meaning it. Let us try to mean. I can just assure you that, guys, by the presentation, sorry I missed the first two groups, but at least the second last groups shows me what they are. Because if Barbara is in that group, which presented I'm not there, I'm sure it was even more superb. So members, let us just not enjoy the atmosphere. Let us just not enjoy talking about it. But they say beginning, start, and you have to start now. The action starts now, and start with what you have. You have to evaluate yourself. Even the few days remaining to the end of the year, let us try to see that at least what we have learned for more than a year, we are putting into practice. And I think when we are practicing this, Mr. Augustine, where he will be very proud that at least this something is being put into the action. Even our sponsors, Tendai, you must come and invite her on your home, and she would only sit on a tree which you have planted, not only taking them to the hotels where there is a AC. We should always think going green. We should actually even advocate for our meetings to start going into nature, forest, so that we do away with being in this AC. Because we are in this AC, we think things are normal. Guys, let me tell you, the change is real. I come from Tororo, and because of this too much rain, I think even it's raining to NBS. The road which connects Tororo town to the village of Rubong and other sub-counties were cut off by the flood. And it happened that all the major roads which were connecting to those sub-county was cut off by the flood. And the father to the former IGP, Okoth Shola, had died. But you know what? The guys couldn't bury because the road was impassable. I happened to travel with Tango Doi, the chairman for NRM, and you could hear him calling the colleagues, the minister for defense, or both. Omin, my brother, can we pass? and say, my brother, I'm also in town. But we are there in town for the whole day and we couldn't bury. It shows you that the things are real. You know, the Waganda say, amazi gakulukuta, wegali gakulukutedeko. Say so. You will do everything to block this water. But if its time come for it to pass, it will pass. Even if carrying the Africana, it will. You have ever seen the flood carrying a building bigger than Africana? It will carry you. It will carry our children. It will carry our grands. For us, we may be even somehow safe. But think about if these people whom we inherited didn't do something, would we be enjoying the atmosphere? For you are very okay by cutting, but you are very lazy by planting. You are very okay. Actually, I was also very much annoyed today when I came back from East Africa, because I drive a car, which is, I am only 2 years older than it. That car I'm driving, it was made in 1993. Can you imagine? And I was like, my God, by the time they were manufacturing this car, the technology, am I even needing the gas, the carbon I'm releasing in the what? So we have to be impressed. We are calling ourselves 21st century youth, but we are doing things of the 18th century. Let us hype our game. If we can act this, I'm very much happy that change will come. And if you either you want or you don't want, change will have to happen. And as the change happens, we have to change with the what? With the change. The just transition is real and it's here. It is high time African. We stop blaming. Actually, I was seeing here presenters blaming the other people. For them, they worked on themselves. Let us also work on ourselves. Let us not look for blame game. You know, Bob Wine, even if he always say, you should not always give a reason why you have failed to do so. But you must always give a reason why you have done so. So we should not always say, these people, hey, no. Let us work for us as African, as a trade unionist. What are we doing? Let us stop looking into actually this transition or the climate change. We don't need any other literature. We have read a lot of literatures. It is just putting the little think it is we know into a practice. So I know it's not my very good day to speak, but I like speaking. I like speaking, and among the things I also want to end with, I've told you that we are very happy to announce to you that as we are doing the transition or we are doing the climate change, we must also economically empower ourselves. And what has made us vulnerable as youth, and we have made us to fight ourselves because we are promised some penny. So as in my leadership as a youth, I'm trying to think outside the box or without the box. And I say now, let us empower ourselves. So we have, we were, omugezi yomukobere, or omugezi yomubulirire. So when we are in fort, someone opened up our mind that at least as young workers in this Uganda, we can start something. And he gave us an idea. And I want to tell you that we have secured and we have reserved the name of the circle. We want to form Young Workers Circle, which will cover all the young workers in this country. I want you, LISA members, and the youth of here, us to be the pioneers. Let us be the founder members, and let us start.
Okay.
Shishi. Numbidwa. Yeah, so as I am ending up, I think my treasurer, since Tegerebia Sente, he must be having those books. I don't know whether you carried them. If you didn't carry them, make sure members sign so that we can start this thing. We shall start with saving what we can. Because if you can afford to eat 10,000, at least today you eat bijanyelo. Yenkumi meka, to saving kunkumi meka, sija kugamba to savinge shevi ringa ufuna tano. ng'oli yatugamba saving kyokola ki ky'osobola. Tujja kumanya nti by the end of this coming year we shall have a testimony to do what? But let us keep united. We all need each other. I cannot tell you how the power of unity can take us far. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, let us emulate Barbara, Shanita, and Jane. Those three girls, they have worked, they have done issues. And actually, I've also tried to join them, but Juicy, the one of them gave birth, and he was only mentioning the two. I asked her, am I not yet qualified? And he told me, join Lisa. So I will join Lisa, but let us keep united. Let us keep focused as young workers. Future is ours, as in our hand. And no one, I'm telling you, even when my mentor is here, he will also not come to you and gives you what you deserve in a silver. You have to lock the door. You have to shake the table. And you have to shake the table which they have expensive wine. If you see any opportunity around you, my members, don't hesitate. Stop also just going to be a youth chairman. In your union, stand kokulamuza. If there is an election, upgrade yourself from any committee to a mainstream one. Because if you don't do that, no one will do it for you. They will fight you, they will hate you, but if you are right, keep on a course. I want to thank you very much, my brothers and sisters, for the invite. It is a great opportunity to already convert the converted. Actually, it is you people to convert me because I'm not yet there. But it's an honor that you gave me the mandate to always come and share with you. And I'm very much amazed. Just want to recognize all the general secretaries who are around. I can just see generally and others. You can just raise up and just wave to the youth and all the invited guests like me. Thank you very much, members, for inviting us. But when I was in Nairobi, I learned a new club. Let us just do it. I think Edgar taught us something. Sauda, come and we... they say, you pasha pasha, and you say, moja, mbili, tatu, funga. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Gideon, for those remarks. The next person who I'm going to invite is going to actually invite the chief guest. And this is a person who is not new to you. This is a person who before this particular session, she was in a capacity of a mentor, but now she's in her capacity as the Deputy Treasurer General of NOTU, and that is Barbara Badur. Barbara, please, you're welcome.
Solidarity. Solidarity. I can use any place, but let me use this one. I want to welcome you all once again, but to also thank you for coming on a weekday to listen to the voices of the young people. It's very important. Allow me to recognize Petra, Tendai, and the other people that are online, and to also thank them for the great work that they are doing, not just to mentor us, but to also fund this great program. I am a graduate of ELSA, and a mentor in LISA. And it's been an honor and a privilege to be in both programs. In the first program I was learning, and in this program I am teaching that I have learned. And it's such an honor to do so. To our general secretaries, thank you for understanding that there is no change without young people. Your presence in this place tells us that you understand that young people have a role to play in everything that we do. When we talk about just transition is not just in the green economy, but it's also in leadership. It's also in homes. It's everywhere. So you coming here is a sign that you're ready for the just transition in any form. And I want to tell you that the LISA students, all the LISA participants, are in great hands. The mentors, fellow mentors, thank you so much for the work you do. And to the participants, I have seen growth in each of you, whether you are my mentee or another person's mentee. I have seen growth. I have seen joy. I have seen the power of love and unity among you all. And another thing that has really struck me with today's presentation is the support that you give each other. As trade unions, we all speak of unity. And this is the unity we speak about. Every young person I meet, I tell them, do not allow to be like the previous, whether it was good or bad. Do not allow to be like it. Create a new path. So this path that we are creating starts with just transition in the workplace. It is a path that we have chosen to tread on, and it is a path that we shall surely create and win. I was about to say praise the Lord. So I am a pastor as well, so sometimes it comes immediately. So allow me use this opportunity to also talk about a great man, Brother Bima. We call him our patron as the young workers because he has championed a lot of change for the young people, not just in his union, but in our union. Brother Bima, you're welcome. Before I invite you to speak, allow me to thank Augustine. Brother Augustine, thank you. Desire, Hope, thank you so much. Thank you for the support you give us, not just in this, but also in life. I know, Augustine, we disturb you very much, but there is no single day that you have turned us down. Petra and Tendai, thank you for not just being a part of us as the young people, but also a part of NOTU, creating a change that is sustainable for us all. And the ELSA alumni that are present here, I think you can see that we have done something. And I'm sure that we are about to do much more. To the general secretaries and all representatives of general secretaries, thank you for your presence. We don't take it for granted. And as LISA participants, of course I love you. And the mentors, I love you more. Allow me welcome Patron, the one sitting in the position of General Secretary General right now, Brother Bima Stephen. In our tribe, we call him Bambo, the big one. So allow me invite Brother Stephen. Bambo.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Today, I'm so happy to be with LISA students. But before I start addressing you, allow me convey the message from the Secretary General, that is Bigirwa Richard, who took a delegation of trade unions from Uganda to Kenya. And they went to Kisumu on 8th, and I do believe they're on the way coming back. It was on the invitation of the National Center of Kenya. That's what we call bilateral relationship among the trade unions in Uganda and Kenya. He asked me, or he delegated to me, to preside over this presentation by the LISA students. First of all, allow me recognize the presence of the facilitators. That is my brother Augustine and the Desire, who have been taking these students through the program. Allow also me to recognize the mentors. The mentors are my OGs and OBs. Dr. Mwanje, where are you? Aha, doctor's there. Musanje. We have Shanita. Barbara is there. Who is the other person? Musoke. Musoke is also there. I recognize your presence. Allow me also recognize the presence of the LISA students.
Amidst us here, we also have ELSA graduates. These were the first people who started this course. Please, if you are there, you stand up. ELSA graduates. Thank you for gracing this very important occasion. Allow me also to recognize the presence of all the general secretaries who are here and representatives of the general secretaries who were sent to come and represent their general secretaries. Can you stand up for recognition? Thank you for coming. Allow me also recognize our persons in the names of Tendai and Petra, who are our development partners from FNV. Tendai and Petra, you are most recognized here in Uganda. You know, some of these things, if you were in the village and you're able to see somebody on the screen, it may appear as if you could be able to talk to the person and greet the person, but it cannot work here because it is on a distance. It happens. You only greet like that. Okay, they're greeting. Aha. At least now we have communicated. Yes. Thank you so much for continuing to support this program. This program is very, very important for the young workers. By the way, did I introduce myself fully to you? I'm called Abima Stephen, the General Secretary of Amalgamated Transport and General Workers Union, and the Deputy Secretary General of National Organization of Trade Unions. Good enough, this ELSA course and LISA course makes us normally grow, and when we go out there, as my brother said, you have to take over positions which are available. When there is space, fit yourself in it. Is that okay? So recently, we had our delegates conference in Morocco, and I was retained. Retaining somebody is not easy. Retained as the vice chairperson for Africa for International Transport Workers Federation. And when you are at that level, automatically you become executive board member of ITF. That sits in London. So I can now represent all the transport workers in the world in that position. Why is this LISA course very important? You have heard a lot of testimonies from the people who have come here to speak that it trains leaders. The young workers who are here, you are trained to become leaders of the union. Not only of the union, but also the entire country. Sometimes we trade unions restrict ourselves only to fight for the limited positions in the trade union. But there are also other positions outside there where you can fit. We have workers' councillors in the districts. Workers' councillors' positions in the districts have been occupied by people who are not trade unionists. So when you are trained here as a leader, don't remain to fight for few positions in the union. You can extend your tentacles to other places like the workers' councillors and become a workers' councillor. That even does not stop you to become a workers' members of parliament, or you can even stand as a member of parliament in your own constituency. Many of you are graduates. Some people who come to the parliament are S6 leavers. Really tell me the reason why you cannot stand as a workers MP in your constituency if you are trained here under LISA or ELSA. Out of the ELSA team of the other first training, we were 13 people who graduated. And out of 13, about 8 of us became leaders at various levels. 8. Barbara is now the deputy treasurer, a very key position in the union. I'm the deputy secretary general. Ouma, who was here, Ouma is also one of the board members. Where are the others? At least those ones who, out of 13, 8 people took positions in leadership of NATO. which is a very good outcome of this course. Now you Lisa people, you are finishing next year. After finishing, I want to hear that you are how many? 21. At least you are more than us. For us, we started at 35 and we ended at 13. By the way, one thing I want to remind you about is this was only a presentation, which is one of the course units you are doing. Don't think that by coming here and meeting all of us that you have now graduated. No. You have not graduated. You are now being put to the biggest test because you have tested how sweet it is for people to come and watch you when you are making presentation. Is it not very sweet? Everybody came here to watch what you are saying, but you have not yet qualified. But now when you qualify, what will happen? It should be bigger than this. So when you shall be coming here for the graduation, I want that graduation to be as big as it can be. The number that should come for this graduation should really be very big now. When people go to Chambogo, Makerere for graduation, you see how big the tents are. We are no longer going to celebrate this thing in a room. I want it to be outside. Let the unions come as many as possible to see the importance of this course. Secondly, we are building your capacity. We are building your capacity in all dimensions. One of the things, maybe I'll talk about that one when I'm commenting on the presentations here today. Elsa and Lisa have been addressing emerging issues which are not there in the syllabus of education institutions. When you go to the syllabus or curriculum of many universities and tertiary institutions, you will not get these particular topics which Elsa is trying to handle or Lisa is trying to handle. We have been handling very important topics like climate change. Lisa and Elsa have both done it. We have handled the topics of just transition. And since we are talking about emerging issues, I'm very sure when you are going to do other topics, it will involve electrification. Electrification is also part of just transition. People moving away from using fossil fuel to electricity. I think one of you mentioned it that in Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, Kera Motors decided to give buses which are using electricity. They no longer use buses, which one of the topics will bring the issue of artificial intelligence. There's the issue of digital organizing. Digital organizing is how you can reach membership using apps and technology. This business of going now everywhere to organize people, talking to them like MTN, is soon going to stop. People are going to register to become members of the union on apps. And we should be part of that. That's what Lisa and Elsa have been teaching to us, digital organizing. Why do we do that? Because a lot of work now, the trend of work and employment is changing every day. We now have platform workers. We have online workers. All these happen in gig economy. I think some of these things I'm talking to you, you may think as if I don't want you people to listen to me. But that's the reality, that's the fact. If you now go for workshops, you don't talk about chairman's basket, you don't talk about agenda, people start on high gear. Online workers, platform workers, gig economy. The first time I went for a meeting in Europe, they were talking about the gig economy. I was saying, now what kind of thing is this? Economy becoming giggy. How? They're getting me? But that's the language which is now being used internationally. And for us here, we are still talking about abacus, mathematics, which is pi, those kind of things. No. Things have changed outside there. People are using now computer language, which we should take up as trade unions. Now, to the Lisa students, I saw a lot of things happening here. I didn't want to comment because I knew I would be given a chance to talk as the General Secretary General. By the way, when you are delegated now, you take over the issues properly. Otherwise, somebody can tamper with me here, which I cannot allow. Because it has been given me for today, and I must take the responsibility. Okay? I do appreciate your presentation. One of the reasons why you are allowed to make presentation here is to build confidence in you. So when you are talking in front of people, you must talk with confidence and authority. Okay? When even you are telling a lie, tell the lie when you are confident. If you come here, you start fidgeting. Even if the point is correct, we shall assume you are not prepared. Make the presentation as if there's no problem. Continue making your presentation. The reason why some of us are here were to see whether you can make some mistakes and we come up and say, this one here, the statistics is not correct. The figure is not correct. That's why we are here. That's why they called us here. So for presentation, some of you are still not confident. And if you know yourself, I'm not going to call your name. If you know yourself that you are not confident here, please, you repent. Go back, work on yourself. Next time when there will be presentation, I expect all of you to be very confident when you are making what? Presentation. Because tomorrow you are going to be the Deputy General Secretary. You are going to be the General Secretary. Now, you see, I'm representing the Secretary General. If I was not talking properly, would he delegate to me? He knows that when I'm speaking, people listen to me. Then he said, Abima, you go and talk to the people, particularly the young people who love you so much. Are you getting me? And the reason why the young people are interested in what I talk is because when I'm expressing the thing, they feel they are learning from it, or they feel they should be part of it, or I should be a mentor to them. That's why they made me a patron, although without a portfolio. The position of patron does not exist in Notu Constitution. It is not there. But it was only created by the what? By the young workers. So you are supposed to speak with what? Confidence and authority. That's why you are brought here. 2, some of you still fear to use the microphone. This one looks as if it is not a very important point. But I want to tell you, when you are given a microphone, you balance what you are talking and also keep on listening to what you are talking. Is the microphone functional? Are people listening to you? Does the message reach everybody who is in the hall or in the place where you are talking? The use of microphone determines what kind of leader you are. That's why politicians, when you give them microphone, they are very happy. That is the only way by which they can confuse people or tell people the right thing. Give them the microphone. They will talk very well. Please, when you are given a microphone, take advantage of it. Like how my brother Gideon was here. Another thing is, in your presentation, I expect you to cite some policies or laws which are available. I think you didn't raise issues of policies which are available and some laws which are available as far as just transition is concerned or climate change is concerned. Those laws or those policies are very important. If you were doing thesis, you would have brought them. For instance, in Ugandan context, we have policies and strategies and laws. For instance, you take Uganda Green Growth Development Strategy of 2017 to 2030. You should have mentioned about that strategy because it's one of the elements of government involvement in trying to see that climate change and green economy is addressed. There's Uganda Vision 2040, which talks about issues of climate change and just transition. We have the policy, the National Climate Change Policy 2015. You should have mentioned something about that. It is something which already the government is doing something. You see, when you are talking as a trade unions, you must also know what the government is doing. Otherwise, you may end up talking and you don't quote what the government is doing, it becomes a problem for you. Also include that government is doing something and you are complementing what the government is doing. We have a policy on renewable energy, 2007. That policy is there. We have another policy on national energy. We have another policy on disaster preparedness and management policy 2010. Please be able to quote some of these important policies in your presentation so that somebody knows that you know your country. There was a time we went to Ethiopia. There was this business and human rights. They presented to us a document, National Action Plan of Uganda. None of us saw it. We saw it in Ethiopia. They said now trade unions, now there are 3 countries that have put in place National Action Plan for Business and Human Rights. Nigeria, Uganda, and Kenya. Now I asked those people, where is the document? Me, I never saw the document. Why? When they were making this document, the trade unions were not involved. But the government has that document. So because I didn't want to cause problem for my country, I said, yes, it in a carbon emission. China, India, US, Great Britain. That was a very good research. Something like that must also, if you can do the one outside Uganda, why don't you also bring that one of Uganda? Are you getting me? You should also bring those things of Uganda so that they know that you have really done a big research, both internationally and locally. That was for the LISA students. I would have talked more. But next time, when you continue the program, I will not mind if I'm invited also to attend some of the presentations at class level, because I'm an OB. Not so. If I come there, I will not be a visitor. I know what you go through. You can share through with them. Just 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I can come and attend because we share knowledge. We are preparing. You know, somebody was saying they are leaders of today. We are preparing them for succession, that kind of thing. Yeah, when you are doing succession in African tradition, when elders are sitting together to discuss issues, when the young people are around there, they're able to listen what the elders are discussing. And that's how they get oral learning. They can learn from there. Now, what actions do we expect from the unions? General secretaries have been called here. It was not for nothing. The reason why you are called here is to let you understand what just transition is and how you can help these young leaders to go down there and implement what they have learned. Many times we have learned things in the workshops, in the trainings, but when we go back there, we put the books in the documents in a safe. And it will only be open when a similar workshop comes. If it doesn't come, the dust will accumulate on it. We are called here as general secretaries to ensure that there is a follow-up of these students who have completed what? This course. Another action we expect from the general secretaries and from the unions is to ensure that we develop policy guideline so that we can implement just transition. I want to share with you, when climate change issues came, I remember Amalgamated Transport and General Workers developed a climate change policy. Now this policy has also been reviewed. Now it has become a just transition policy. And the copies are going to be very ready by the end of this year so that we can share it with other unions. We already have the guidelines, and it's just a matter of using it so that we can achieve the intended objectives. I expect the trade unions also to ensure that the reskilling process or program be negotiated with the employers. We need to negotiate with the employers reskilling. Changes are happening. The workers have to be retained. And you can only retain the workers when you reskill them to take up the new technologies which are coming. The case in point is the one which we are talking about, Uganda Civil Aviation Authority. The drivers now need to be updated so that they can know how to use the electric buses. Electric bus is not only a matter of driving, also charging the battery. And where do you charge the battery? You must know where the stations where the battery can be charged, and you must know how to charge the battery. You must know how to drive the bus. You must know how to operate the whole system. If you don't know that, you are still with your gear number 1, gear number 2. You even kick it in the vernacular, not in English. Those kind of struggles in the vehicle. People need what? Reskilling. We have to negotiate these things and then put them in the CBA. You know, CBA is a very powerful tool. If there's a change and you include it in the CBA, it becomes a law. So we need to negotiate reskilling issues in the CBA so that our workers do not lose their jobs and we do not lose membership and revenue. And you are aware that the more people you have, the more power you have. The more people you have, the more revenue you can collect. Not so? So we should protect our workers jealously. Trade unions, particular general secretaries, let us allocate some budget for these activities. Many people don't allocate budgets for these activities, even for youth, women, and with workers' disability. No budget. Now, for these young workers who have come with the knowledge, who are ready to implement, my brother Oprong put it clearly. Let us choose a day in Uganda for all the workers to plant at least 1 or 2 trees. If all the workers in Uganda decided that they want to plant 1 or 2 trees, since we started being in Uganda up to now, Uganda will be forested. There will be no space for plowing, for planting other things. So we need to allocate budget. You cannot get the seeds for free. The seeds, you buy them. Avocado is something like 10,000 a seed. Mangoes and what? All of those things are expensive. You need to allocate a budget to buy the seedlings, to move to where it can be planted. So it need budget. And if you want to do more, then you have to allocate resources. And we are saying, where can we get spaces for planting these trees? There are a lot of spaces, so long as we talk to the people very well. Church buildings, around church buildings, there's a lot of land. Schools, around schools, there's a lot of land. Oprong was telling me, by the roadsides, if you take the road from here up to Gulu, you will find some spaces are vacant without trees. Even if you go to Fort Porto, even if you go to Mbarara, there are a lot of space by the roadside where people can plant the trees. Not necessarily road reserve, where this water and electricity pass, but slightly around that area, you can plant the trees, and we can do that. Informal sector. If you want informal sector to participate fully, the markets people, the transport people, even some people in textile, even a plantation, if you want them to participate in just transition activities, you have to organize them. You must organize them into associations, into the unions. Minus that, they will not understand what you are talking about. First of all, they will not understand you, that you are a union, that you want to organize them to do something. They will not understand. You have to organize them, get them into the union, inculcate into them the use of trade unionism. Then you will begin to bring these ideas so that they can be able to go and plant the trees, they can be able to fight for workers' rights, or they can be able to fight for their rights. By the way, a lot is being done in organizing a formal sector. I think some of you are unions. You have the advantage that you don't have a formal sector. But time has come. Every union is likely to have informal sector. All the unions, if I may say. It will be there. And the number of informal sector is growing day by day. Almost 80% of working class is now in the informal sector. If we don't open our eyes to reorganize ourselves, to organize informal sector, we shall all lose membership. Because the membership in the informal sector is growing. Markets people actually should be the best example of organizing informal sector, because the people are together every time in one place. It will be easy for you to organize those people. more than transport. Transport, the drivers are mobile, especially the long distance truck drivers. They start from Mombasa and they end in Tunduma. You cannot get them every time to organize them, unless maybe taxis in the Kampala, who are in one place. So we have to make, actually one of the topics I'm suggesting to Lisa is really to carry out serious research and come up with how we can organize workers in the informal sector. It is like a artificial intelligence, digital organizing and platform workers, which is coming up. We have to think of some, because if you talk about even informal sector, platform workers are also in the informal sector. So if we don't come up with those kind of policies, things will be very bad for us. Good enough, we know the sources which cause carbon emission, and we are unions in those sectors. Please, let us find a way of acting. Workers who in factories, we have very many factories mushrooming in this country. Factories, they generate a lot of carbon. Transport generates a lot of carbon. Burning of trees, if I may say, that one is under plantation. They should take up responsibility. There is general pollution everywhere. We should take responsibility. People who work with the chemicals, people who are in mines, that's your responsibility. There are some chemicals which generate a lot of carbon. And then green gases, which come from these greenhouses. Flour. In Uganda here we have flour. Where is Jennifer? Flour, these greenhouses, they generate a lot of carbon. And we have a whole union there which can help us ensure that that issue can be worked on. Now, my appeal, and I'm appealing to general secretaries. I know why I'm appealing to general secretaries, because you are the drivers of the union. Somebody told me, if you are not a general secretary and you have ideas for the union, those ideas will not work. And it is true. If you don't pass your ideas to the general secretary to own, that idea will not survive. Bring your ideas to the general secretaries who should own them, and then they start driving it. It will work. That's why I'm appealing to the general secretaries to ensure that this issue of just transition can work. And how does it work? Let us form committees at every level. If you cannot have a committee at shop level, have a committee at national level, specifically for climate change and just transition. Can we do that, General Secretaries? You already have your agencies here trained by LISA program. Now, when the student goes back, actually not going back because people are not in the boarding school. People will stay at home. They go to work and then they come here just for this course. For 2 days they go back. Let the person who is here become the focal person for just transition in your organization. Then he builds a committee of 5 people and you start from there. And you see how you can help them to continue addressing the issue of just transition. Maybe one day Note will say, can we have all the committees of the 38, is it 38? 38 unions to come for maybe sensitization or education or to do something or to amend the policy and what? You will be inviting people who already know what just transition is and how this policy can be amended. Can we do that? Actually, one of the action points here, even before these students have completed their course, is that they should go back and form a committee for climate change and just transition. And you let Note to know that these committees are formed. And you must also report to Lisa that these committees have been, it's one of the action points you can start with immediately. And then what to do about just transition begins from there, and it can be done from union to union. If the young workers say, give us 1 acre of land, good enough, my chairman is there. I've come with my chairman. If you can give these young workers at least 1/4 of an acre and they plant trees to show that you attended this presentation, and one of the issues was just give them some land. Let them plant the thing, By the time they complete the course, they will take Patra and the Tendai to go and see that this is one of the outputs of what you did. So, I know the chairman can do that. He has the land. That's why I'm talking with the authority. So let us come up with a committee so that these issues can be handled. 2, let us engage the workers, the young workers. They are very vibrant. We engage them as a union. And annually, you have youth camp. I would advise, and also as one of the action points, in the youth camp, take one day, move around and plant the trees. One time we were in Ginger, you should have planted trees. By now it is 4 years, 5 years, the trees would have grown. You went to Mbarara, you would have done the same. You were in Mokono, the same. You were in Fort Portal and Igulu, I expected in these cities, trees would be growing by now, and they will say, young workers of the union planted these trees. But it's not yet too late. Next year, let it be one of the action points for the young workers, for all the unions, to ensure that when you come for the youth camp, come with the idea of planting what? Trees. And I want to request all the unions to impress just transition. Impress it. Let it become part and parcel of us. Otherwise, it's going to affect us badly. We have to allocate resources for that. We can even come up with joint actions. I know Prong is very good in that. Mobilizing people for joint action. All the unions can come together. Not everybody, those ones who can afford to come. And we can go to government and say, please, we want to plant the trees. Give us some land somewhere. The union can take care of that. We can do that as a union. And somebody will know that you are taking this matter very seriously. I want to conclude by saying, much as we are talking about just transition in climate change, we also need to have just transition from LISA program being supported by FNV to LISA program in the future to be supported by NUTU. I don't think FNV will continuously support us to have this training when our capacity is being built. The other time it was Patra, Tendai, plus Augustine who were taking us through ELSA program. But because of resource constraints, I can see they have now picked the ELSA people to mentor the LISA people, and Augustine has only remained with the desire. The way I'm seeing things, Augustine and the desire may not be there in the future, and the mentors will take over. The way I'm seeing, you wait for the next one. It may be the last one. I'm not prophesying, but me, I'm seeing that it will happen like that. Some of these programs come according to the governments in the place. The government may come and say, we don't want to support this program because these are support from foundations. Foundations can decide to say our priority area is not this one, it is another one. And the program is very good. Is the program bad? The program is very good. Are we going to allow this program to die because we don't have partners who are supporting us? Do we want to do that? If we can afford to have a labor college of East Africa, how can we afford to lose LISA program, which only has less than 30 people every season, so as to mentor our people to take up responsibilities? Unions can do that. Really. We have reached a level where we should be self-reliant. When we started the youth camp arrangement, it is started by developing partners supporting us. As I'm speaking now, we have reached a level where the young workers can support themselves 50%. The young workers now can support themselves 50%. Why do we do that? We are very sure that in the next decade, this issue of young workers, workers with disability, and even women, it may disappear. The international economy and how people do things keeps on changing depending on who is the president of US. Eh? If I'm not lying, it depends on who is the president of US, because US has a very big economy and supports very many countries. And everybody's direction is changed as US agenda changes. So for us in Uganda, good things we have learned, let us use them, build on them, and own them, and start implementing them by ourselves. Not to, the way I see, impressing many programs will continue supporting Lisa, and will continue to impress Lisa. And I'm requesting my sister Tendai and Petra, please, see, since this thing has just started, you have graduated only one set. This is going to be the second set. I'm appealing to you for things to look very nice. At least if you could go up to the 5th set, so that Gideon can also get opportunity to attend. Otherwise, Gideon may miss this opportunity. Otherwise, I thank all of you for coming. I appreciate all of you. I love you. Let us build our union. Only one thing I want to share with you is when we are for these union functions, some of you are saying praise the Lord, some of you are, but when we are here, we should say solidarity. Otherwise, if you go to the church and you shout solidarity, people may think you are mad. So in our own functions, we should use our what? Solidarity. Solidarity? Solidarity? Thank you so much. For God and my country.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Abima. It's always good to listen to him. Another round of applause, please. And before you leave for your busy schedule, we invite you to have lunch with us. And all of you are invited for lunch as well. Desire will give you the directions. And for the mentors and the LISA participants, I think we should be back here in the next hour, because we're still going to continue with peer coaching and mentoring. Thank you. Desire?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. We are very hungry, eh? Okay. Our lunch is going to be by the pool side, on the lower side. When you get out of the door, take your right, again take your right, then you take your left. You'll be seeing it when you reach there. Enjoy your lunch. Bon appetit. And thank you very much, our dear guests. Thank you so much for honoring this day and the invite. Have a nice time. Enjoy your lunch. Does everyone have a coupon? Do we all have coupons? Okay.
You don't want to see me, Kale. You don't want to see me, Kale.